act like Larry David, that's really where Trump gets all of his power.
Yeah, it's true. All right, up next, Tucker Carlson stops by. And later, more leftovers to share. It's all the jokes we didn't use this week. Millions of Americans crave his unvarnished renegade opinions. And like Dracula, he does his best work at night and hasn't aged in 100 years. Joining me now, author of the new book, The Long Slide, and host of Tucker Carlson Tonight, Tucker Carlson Today, and Tucker Carlson 2 months from now. It's Tucker Carlson.
Greg Gutfeld, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Tucker, congrats on the new book. I just want to ask some personal questions before we get moving. Is it true that you wear khakis to bed?
No, but I hang them next to my bed on a nail. I get 3 days per pair.
I know. I remember when you were working at Fox and Friends. I have a great story. Fox and Friends, your clothes were so dirty. Your khakis were filthy. Yeah. But the best story was I was at a bar in Midtown.
Always.
It's like 1 a.m. I walk out, and who's jogging at 1 a.m. in Midtown but Tucker Carlson, and you're jogging in sweats and a sweatshirt, and you're chewing gum while you're jogging. Is that a great story?
You were always.
Yeah,
because it's hard. It's hard to smoke when you run because it's just, you know what I mean?
Do you exercise in the middle of the night?
Well, I did when I had to host the show. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a morning guy, so I would get up at 3 and bang out a run.
That's insane.
And then go to work.
That's incredible.
Well, you got to wake up, right?
Yeah, but that's incredible discipline to do that because the body's just not ready for it. I know this isn't meaningful to other people, but for me, I love hearing people doing weird things in the middle of the night because it makes me feel like I'm not completely weird. Your book, you acknowledge one person. You acknowledge one person in your book, your publisher.
Yeah.
Why?
Jonathan Karp is the head of Simon & Schuster. I was under contract to write this book when Simon & Schuster canceled Josh Hawley's book because they didn't like his politics. And I felt kind of implicated in that because they were sending me money. So I called John Karp, who runs the company, and I said, why did you do this? And he said, essentially, because we came under pressure from the Democratic Party, so we did it. And I said, I think that's disgusting. I think you're disgusting. And he said, well, you still have to write the book. And I said, okay, fine, I'm going to write about you. And I did. And I dedicated the book to him. And watching him, as I say in the acknowledgement, decline from a conventional open-minded book editor who's interested in ideas and a robust conversation about those ideas to just another corporate censor whose job is to shut down any conversation that threatens the people in charge is such a depressing and bewildering thing to watch. I mean, John Karp was never a genius to begin with. He's not inherently super impressive. He's a collector of merit badges. Like so many people in charge.
Yeah.
But I never thought that he would have bet censorship. He's a book publisher.
Is he?
I mean, the whole point of book publishing is to keep open the exchange of ideas, right? I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And here he is censoring people?
This is a really stupid question. Where is Karp now? Is he running something? Like running
yeah, he runs Simon & Schuster.
Yeah, so technically
which published this book.
And I owe him a book. So I think he's actually doing quite well.
He's a great guy.
I have a book due. I think I have a book due at the end of this year, but it's not going to happen because I delivered another book early. This is like crazy. But so yeah, he's the guy that he's the guy that so you know what, Tucker, I think you're being a little hard on the guy.
You want to text him?
Yeah, I think I should have a conversation. I was in the 90s. I was reading you. I was editing, Men's Health. I was in like mainstream publications, and you were this kind of like amazing writer, writing all this great investigative reporting stuff. You had quite a name for yourself. It seems like so long ago because you become something so different. And I think both of us are like that. We both ran this weird parallel world, and then we became extremely close, and we bought that bed and breakfast in Vermont. But we don't really talk much anymore. My point is, how has the media changed in your mind in the past 30 years?
Well, it's become intolerant of free thinking. I mean, when we joined it, I grew up around it. I always wanted to do it because I had, seen the life that my dad led. And it was a life surrounded by interesting people with cool ideas or bad ideas, but ideas. And they were brave people who said what they thought and went and saw things that were interesting, saw history happen. And it was a great gig, I thought. And there were a lot of people in it who had those attitudes. none of whom I agreed with politically, but that didn't matter. There was this spirit of free inquiry and of courage. And the idea was we have the one job in America where you can say what you really think. We're journalists. Like, that's our job, is to exercise the First Amendment. And then I look up one morning, I go into cable television, and I look around, and we work for a family that has traditional views on the First Amendment. They're in favor of it.
Right.
But nobody else is in favor of it. And the next thing I know, I actually don't think I have changed very much.
No, I
have the same kind of attitudes I had 30 years ago. It's just that nobody else does.
No,
it's bizarre. It's so weird.
Yeah, and the weirdness is that right now, and I always lay this as my flaw, is that the writers that I look up to now were writers that I didn't look up to back when I was ideological, when I always looked at the other side. So whether it was Matt Taibbi or I used to get in fights with Glenn Greenwald on the Huffington Post.
Oh, me too.
And it was just so silly and stupid. And it's so ironic that they were the best of the left, and now they're the best of the right. And it's not like they changed. Is that weird?
No, it's exactly right. And I think what happened was all the irrelevant issues kind of faded away. I mean, sort of, who cares?
Yeah.
If they're coming for your right to speak freely, if it's becoming totalitarian, if you have to violate your own conscience to live here, if you have to take medicine you don't want or need at gunpoint to keep your job, what? I mean, that's a whole new level of coercion. So the issues have really changed. They become fundamental, and what's left are the people who believe in fighting for the basics. And it turns out, two of the best and the bravest happen to be on the left, Greenwald and Taibbi, both of whom I despised, for the 90s, both of whom attacked me at great length.
Right.
Matt Taibbi wrote like a whole, 8,000-word essay about how I was evil.
Right.
But I don't care, actually, because all I care about is the bravery required to defend the Bill of Rights. And if it's left to those guys, more power to them. I dropped my New York Times subscription, and I subscribe to both of those guys on Substack, and I'm proud to say that.
Yeah, they're both excellent writers. And then just the last point, because I got to roll. When you say I don't care, the reason why you say you don't care is because you're probably the happiest person in media, from what I can gather.
Yeah.
Like, that must drive your critics crazy, because they get so angry by you, and you're laughing all the time. You have more fun than anybody, right?
Well, I wouldn't know what they think, because I don't have a TV and I hate the internet, and I try not to go on
There
it.
you go.
So, I mean, it's just poison. I mean, why would you give people who are emotionally incontinent and motivated by malice control over your emotional state?
That is so true.
I have no respect for them. I could care less what they say about me. My job is to be faithful to the people I love. There are a lot of those, and to be happy, and I am.
I think he's talking about me. All right, Tucker. The book is called The Long Slide. It's you're obviously a great writer, and it's going to be my remaining summer reading, if I can remember how to read. Thanks, Tucker.
See you, man. Great to see you, Greg.
All right. Up next, does a plastic barrier make you happy?